Next, we can take these charts and export them to PDF formats, which can be printed out or sent as email attachments. You know, the usual large email attachments that require Adobe Reader. Well, we want to make sure we can still interface with folks who are heavy PDF users. So we're going to create some PDFs with Python. You can use matplotlib again and directly move your plots into PDF pages. The key steps to saving PDFs are to import the PDF pages module, create a new object of PDF pages with a file name, save figures, and close the object. So now through this course, we have covered how to take data from CSV files, taking only the stuff we need, and then displaying them in a concise manner in charts or tables. Now we've come full circle and we will be creating reports. Let's look at an example of creating a 2-page report. I've written a couple of functions and will demonstrate to you how to use matplotlib to create PDFs. First, we have to import the matplotlib plot module, and then we have to import the backend PDF pages module. And then let's import everything from before that we've created. The first function that I have here is plotting a graph. And here I have set the figure and the colors and all the settings. And then I create bars that take in the data and I annotate it with data labels. And then I included legend, and then I remove distracting lines, just so that when we print it, there's less colors and it's a cleaner look. I also remove ticks from the X and Y axes, and I've labeled it. And then I return that figure at the end of that function. I have a second function here for plotting a graph with a table. And again, we have the figure and the axes defined, and then we also define a table. Now we're going to be using these two functions to plot a graph and then a table. So these are two separate outputs. And what I'm going to do here is first create an object pp equals PDF pages. And we're going to set the file name is my report. So let's first make the first plot, which is the output of plot minimal graph. We're going to pass in the price groups from before, and then we're also going to pass in the columns. And then we want to save that plot into our PDF object. So plot 1, and we want to have the margins tidy. So we're going to use the bbox inches equals tight to keep the margin spacing minimal. And now we're going to work on creating the table. And again, we're going to have to build the table text. We're going to reuse our function from the last stage, building the table text. We're going to pass in the brand and price data, just the two columns, and we're also going to pass in a list of brands. And our plot 2 is going to be using the second function, plot graph with table. And we're going to provide the table text. And our first element in the tuple is the table text itself. And the second element of the tuple would be the row information, which would be the first column, all the brands listed. We're also going to pass in the columns for the headings, for the table to have headings. And let's also save this second plot with also the margins being in a neat and tidy style. And of course, we're going to close this PDF object, at the end, we want to close the stream because if we don't, we can't open the PDF. So that's all we need to create the PDF. And let's run it now. So, oh, I have a typo. Save figure. And if we run that file again, as a reminder, we have to download the workspace to see the file, the PDF file that we just created. And here's what we just created in myreport.pdf. On our first page, we have a bar chart. Let me zoom in to make that easier to view. Our first page is a bar chart with legend and the gray background removed. There we go. The first page is a bar chart with the legend and with the gray background removed and the tick marks removed along the top right and left. It shows the pricing allocation of all the ties in our data sample, and it's basically the same chart we're working with before the stylistic improvements. And I removed most of the colors and lines just so that when we're printing, we use a little bit less ink. On the second page, what we created was a table with 7 columns, showing the brand name in the first column and then various categories of prices in the other columns. The sample data comes from the Stage 5 examples on creating tables. And what's being shown here is any potentially discounted ties. For example, Dolce & Gabbana tends to sell their ties between $100 and $250, with a lot of ties over $250. But they do have some ties that are priced in under $100. And so that's the end of our screencast. We've created a PDF with 2 pages. And we've reused the functions we've been working with from creating plots and tables.